from data silos to intelligent automation. Talking about a topic that I love the most. I'm certainly energetic. First off, to start, introducing myself and Tim. So, my name's Kaiwei. I'm a cloud data and AI solution engineer in Microsoft, focusing on data products. Tim is another guest here. So, Tim, would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Kai. I'm not working for Microsoft, but for Obungi, and we are a consulting company located in Hamburg. And yeah, I'm really happy to be here today. I'm working as data and AI consultant. I'm happy to share some insights from Fabric Data Agent implementations in real life.
So for today's session, we're looking forward to go through some of the interesting topics, including but not limited to the data agent in Fabric. At this stage now, I would assume that Fabric is a well-known concept and it's a very popular tool in the field. So we want to go through the ideas of data agent and how that can uplift your business. Whereas it's a topic that's also very interested in another concept, which is the frontier firms, and we're going to go through what are the frontier firms Microsoft reckons, and how Microsoft's product can help you to work towards a frontier firm. Then we'll invite Tim to introduce some of his field experiences by working with customers directly, and we'll be very interested to also see a live demo delivered by Tim. And also we can share some customer use cases. Hopefully we'll have a great time together. We'll give you some information towards the end how to get started. So that's about it. Let's get straight in. Now, imagine if I ask you what is the most important thing in the world or the hottest topic in the world for the last 2 years. I'd imagine probably put a word in your mind, and that word contains 2 letters. And I've kind of used this lousy opening for the past 1 year already. And apparently I think that opening is still kind of on point. It's like AI is still one of the hottest topics in the world, and it's still transforming the world largely. But I guess as of now, more and more people start to realize that AI didn't come from nowhere. I mean, what's powering AI, what's behind AI, it's kind of more important, and that is data. And we start to realize without good data, you won't have good AI. Garbage in, garbage out. With that in mind, I'm going to have to apologize first before showing you the next slide. And for certain people in this crowd, this is probably not the first time I'm apologizing for showing the slide, because it's going to torture your eyes. And the point is to show you the current landscape where you want to get into the data and AI world, trying to get a solution ready to get your data more ready for AI. Now, and that brings the topic, and that brings the issue as well. So what is the issue with the current data and AI offerings, the solutions outside? And the issue is, I'm afraid, to quote from what we heard from a lot of the companies, a chief information officer or a chief data officer would purely just want to be doing their own job. They don't want to end up doing a chief integration officer's job, which in this current case, you have to get into by integrating all of those different tools into one. Now, this brings us the question: do we have a unified solution to solve this issue? Well, the answer provided by Microsoft is Fabric. Now, Fabric is not new. It's out there for nearly 3 years now, and it has been in use by a lot of the customers. To be exact, I think for now we are adapted by over 70% of the Fortune 500 customers. And with that, I think 60 or 70% of the customers are using more than 2 workloads. And when I say workloads, I really mean the functionalities in Fabric. And that starts from ingesting your data, getting that into a pipeline, and then start to do some analytics work, be it data engineering or data science, all kind of supported in Fabric. And also, we're utilizing real-time intelligence to help you to process your streaming data. And after all of that, everything will be put into a virtualized virtualized way to visualize your data. On top of that, that's kind of the OLAP process to get your data analyzed. But also, the transitional part has become one very important module in Fabric as well. So we've newly added a lot of the database products like the SQL database, like the Postgres, the Cosmos, very exciting products. But most importantly for Fabric, everything sits on top one glass of pane, single glass of pane, which is the One Lake data layer. And that's also adopting the Microsoft cutting edge security and governance tools. Now, that's the Fabric product before we added in some sexy stuff. The sexy stuff is the AI workloads. And that's kind of newly added end of last year to help customers to better get insights out of their data. We've added a new set of tools called the IQ series. So the Work IQ, Fabric IQ, and Foundry IQ can help you to easily get the insight out of your business suite. So to be more exact, the IQ series, Fabric IQ in particular, focuses on getting the insight out of your semantic models, out of your graph data setup. So you'll be able to build your data very easily with your existing semantic models or with any new scenarios you build with the newly added graph relational data setup. You'll be able to set all of your business entities and connect all of the dots. And the data agents, operational agents in Fabric, will be able to help you to use natural language to get the insights out of your data very easily. And on top of that, what's more interesting is with the capability of getting the insights out using only natural language, you can actually integrate that with your business suite as well. So Data Agent works with a large range of Microsoft tools like the Copilot Studio, like the AI Foundry, like the Microsoft 365, and also the MCP servers. Together with all of those, we believe we can make it very easy for your business user to get the insight out. To show you a bit more a bit more direct visual architecture of the setup, you can utilize the IQ and data agent to get all of your lake houses, warehouses, semantic models, and get the insight from them, and then work together with the business tools. Now, with that in mind, just want to say Data Agent is obviously a very interesting tool, and that's something we were keen to show you in the demo later on. However, I guess one question probably lies in your head, which is, how can that help with my business? Now, that brings the interesting topic. The interesting topic is Data Agent alone is capable of getting the insight out of the data. But how can that directly enable your business? How can that benefit your business? That brings another concept, a concept Microsoft have been largely mentioning for the last half year at least. So out of a survey done by Deloitte, we've figured that 46% of the leaders in the world consider AI and agents something that they must adopt. And Also, it's recognized that by the year 2028, there will be roughly 1.3 billion agents and automated workflows. And that gives us a huge topic to talk about, which is for any of the for any of the companies who want to stay in the lead, to create that competitive advantage. It seems like agent and agentic workflow is the cure of that. So with that in mind, there's a concept that we mentioned in Microsoft, which is called the frontier firm. And for the frontier firm, it's no magic. It's basically the customers who's trying to adopt agent and agentic workflows to help with their transformation of the business. And if we look at how they can utilize agent to transform their business, it largely comes into these four categories. So they can either use agents to enrich their employee experiences to make them more productive, or they can reinvent the customer engagement by making the customers more happy. And they can also try to use AI to reshape their business process to automate things and make things run more smoothly. Or they can bend the curve and increase their innovation of the business, make it more competitive, create more competitive advantages for their own company. So that being said, how can we utilize agents in companies becomes a solid question, and how to get it successfully adopted is the key to win. So with that in mind, understand the trends, and the trends shows that 50% of the companies use generative AI, will launch agentic AI pilots by 2027, and the companies generally want to know how to realize and measure business value. So with that in mind, what is success look like? Now, success looks like if you can define your KPIs, if you can reallocate resource using AI, and if you can iterate and adapt this process over and over again. And after that, you scale and you automate, and then you enhance and make sure that you have the competitiveness. So this process goes on and on and on. So it's very important to understand the fundamentals and what kind of tools can help you to get started. Now, I guess a good result is, after all of those critical questions we just raised, how can we get the frontier firms to, or how can we get the companies to turn into frontier firms and to lead the industry? The good results, or a good news that we can share, is 71% of the frontier firm leaders do think that their companies are striving. And this is all shown by the survey conducted by Deloitte last year. So with that in mind, to become a frontier firm and to utilize the tools like agents is very important. Now, dive back into the Fabric Data Agent topic. How can Fabric Data Agent to work for a frontier firm to make sure you can get the insight out of your data easily? Now, I can't say that without mentioning the exciting new features for data agents. First and foremost, this is something that Tim will be able to show you in our demo later on, which data agent actually integrates with Microsoft 365, and it can work with the business tools that you're familiar the most, like Teams, like other tools. So it's very easily integrated. And Data Agent is also integrated with Copilot Studio. So if you want to include that in your agentic framework with a pipeline of other automation process and with other data agents, you can feel free to do so. And also, Copilot Studio is not the only one. AI Foundry also provides you with a wide range of possibilities, including but not limited to the agentic framework, and also with the MCP server. Now, with that in mind, I want to quickly run a couple of customer scenarios to give you a bit of sense of what real life customers can use data agent in their business to boost their productivity and get the insight out of their data easily before handing it over to Tim. So customer scenario number one. Imagine that we have a company called Contoso. I mean, if you're a long time customer for Microsoft, you've probably heard this. Contoso is a large enterprise that wants to stay competitive, and they want to adopt agentic AI. So their issue is their previous system is quite fragmented. So that means their execution is quite slow. So they recently invested into tools like Fabric and Foundry, and they want to get their insight. They want to get their data analysis easily done and streamlined. So for a data engineer in Consoto, Claudette want to configure. She just configured a new web app, and she wants to automate the data setup, and she needs to minimize the repetitive steps, which is quite typical for kind of an automation of workloads to increase the productivity internally. Whereas for the sales analysis, Roberto, his job is to open the web application that Claudette just built and trying to gather insights from upcoming performance reports, and he needs to activate the AI chat and query the data from natural language because he's not very comfortable using very advanced analytic tools. So with that in mind, the data engineer and the sales analysis can easily use this automated pipeline to adopt the tools like Data Agent in Fabric, to get it to work with other tools like Foundry, like Microsoft 365, and like other tools to make sure that your business user, like Roberto, can easily get the analysis done. And if we look at the architecture quite quickly, you will see that everything here are seamlessly connected, very easily integrated. And you can directly get your business tools connected to the end data, which is collected by the SQL databases in Fabric from the web applications. Now, if we take a closer look into the stack, you will see that you have wider range of possibilities of connecting that with the likes of Microsoft Foundry, and make sure that you can use it for wider applications, like creating new chat agents, like adopting other models and things like that. Now that's customer scenario number one, and that's a very simple web application analytic scenario, customer scenario. Now I want to go through the second quick customer scenario, and that is imagine this same customer, Contoso, a large enterprise, and they want to increase the efficiency, and the same reason, fragmented data from the customer and sales side. Now the process is that this time they want to get a bit more deeper into the analytics stack. Now, when I say analytic, a lot of people are familiar with the tools like Databricks, things like that. That is exactly what we're talking about. So again, Claudette, as a data engineer, she needs to work directly off the notebooks for data management and processing the pipelines, and she needs to streamline the data integration, validation, enrichment, and semantic models process, the end-to-end data flow. And with that, she decided to use Fabric together with Databricks. For the sales analysis, Roberto, it's the same process. He needs to easily use natural language to get the insight out. Now, here comes a third person, and the third person is a data governance person. So data steward, Lima, she's interested in how to scan all of the connected data sources, review the lineages, and make sure that everything is governed and trustworthy. I'm sure this is a very common topic for any company who's trying to adopt AI and who's trying to use natural language in a chat. The most important question for them would be, how can I make sure everything is governed? So with that in mind, still they can use the same scenario, adopt a pipeline to get everything uh, incorporated into this governed process with time constraint. I'm not going to go through the details, but I'll make sure to include the GitHub repository for these two customer scenarios in the chat before the team ends, before the meeting ends, to make sure if you're interested in, you can have a look at the recommended workflows and architectures from Microsoft. So with that in mind, just quickly go through the architecture and you will recognize that right away, that by adopting this workflow, we can actually put your classic OLAP process with Databricks and a medallion architecture from bronze, silver, and gold into this same workflow to make sure that you can utilize data agent easily on top of your end-to-end data pipeline. So with that in mind, just to quickly go through, we have a lot of exciting items on our roadmap, and we're excited to welcome you to work on Data Agent, work on Fabric, and make sure that we can help you and we can work together to get your insight out of the data very easily. So with that, Tim, if I may pass it on to you.
Yeah, thank you. I will take over. So yeah, I also want to start with a little PowerPoint presentation. Then afterwards, we will jump into Fabric and see the live demo. Yeah, but before we dive into it, just two marketing slides. Yeah, as I already said, I'm working for Obungi, consulting company from Hamburg, and yeah, we are working with Fabric from the very beginning. We also were in the private preview of Fabric. So we, yeah, until now, I mean, Fabric is in the market for 3 years, Kai, you said it. So we gained a lot of experience and are really happy to share it in these webinars. For us, it's important to see the whole picture. Because Kai also mentioned it, garbage in, garbage out. So we're talking about AI. The data you are using, the quality of the data, highly important, and this is why we yeah, are not only focusing on AI but also on data and analytics, and yeah, in projects we like to implement and to consult, and yeah, that's in a nutshell the solution areas we are working on. But due to the time, let's move on. Kai already gave a rough overview over the Fabric data agents. I prepared this slide to go in a little bit more deep, because if we talk about the Fabric data agent, of course you want to, yeah, ask questions with the agent against your data. And to do so, of course, you need to have data sources where the data is stored in. And in Fabric, you have different items to store data in, which have different characteristics for different purposes. For example, if we have a semantic model, this serves the data for the Power BI report, and is optimized for this. On the other side, maybe we have a lakehouse where the data is stored and it's optimized for doing transformations, for example. What does it mean in the end for the data agent? In the data agent, we can integrate up to 5 data sources, which then later on can be queried with the data agent. And you can see it in the slide. I will just activate the laser pointer, and then can be consumed via different channels. Now you could say, okay, but it's only 5 data sources. That's not cool. Yeah, but in the end, if we have a real life use case, it's best practice to, yeah, to have not a too broad or narrow use case. So there won't be a data agent existing which can cover everything in your company. You will have different data agents, maybe for different domains and so on. This means we never had in practice issues with having only 5 data sources, so to say. And another big and important stuff or point to raise is the governance. So, for example, if I stay with the semantic model and we have some security rules, for example, row level security, then these security rules will also be applied in the data agent. That means if, for example, there is a user who can only see customer A, B, and C, and he or she asked the data agent about customer D, for example, then there will be no data the user can see, but he can only see data for customer A, B, and C. So this is really highly relevant. So that doesn't mean if you have a data agent deployed, everybody can see everything. That's not the case, and that's really important to mention. Okay, so how does it work if we have a look into the data agent, so to say? So I mean, what happens? If you ask the agent a question, you will ask the question in natural language. And then in the background, there's a large language model which interprets this question and parses it and validates it, and then already checks for potential data sources who could answer this question. Because, as I said, we can have up to 5 data sources. Then at some point, there need to be the check, okay, which data source can help me with this question? And this is where the instructions get interesting. So we will see it later in the demo. We can give instructions on different levels in the data agent. That means we can say, okay, if there comes a question with specific context, then use data source A, for example, Lakehouse. And if there is a question in another context, then use maybe data source B, which could be, for example, semantic model. This is what is happening here. And then in the next step, the question need to be translated into SQL, DAX, or KQL. What does it mean? I mean, if we have a lakehouse where the data is stored and we want to query the lakehouse to get the answer, the question needs to be translated into SQL, into SQL to be able to query the data source. The same for a semantic model. There you have so-called DAX, where you can write queries. Or if you have an event house, maybe you use a KQL. So this is what's happening in the data agent. After the translation, the query will be validated and executed, and then the data source gets back with the result of the query, and this result will then be visualized in the data agent itself. So this is what's happening inside. And to optimize this experience, you can configure it. I don't want to go that much in detail. Let's have a look on the demo, but in a nutshell, we can set configurations on different levels in the data agent, for example, on data source level, but for example, also on agent level. So that means in the end, there is no magic inside. There's a logical approach how everything is happening. And I mean, we only can repeat this. Of course, the quality of the answer you get is highly dependent on the data modeling of the data which is used to query. So, I mean, that was also the case before Fabric Data Agent exists, and it's still the case. So there is no magic inside, so to say. And really important to mention, governance or security rules you have defined for data access will be applied. Really important. Okay, so before we dive in the demo, just some words what we learned from real life projects with data agents. First thing, not every use case is immediately an agent use case. So we believe that the data agent is a proper way if we have ad hoc questions against the data. If we have the use case that we want to explore the data. But on the other hand, if, for example, we have some operational reporting which is happening on a daily, on a weekly, on a monthly basis, there maybe a classic report, so to say, is the better way. I mean, it highly depends, but I think it's not the approach that you, in every case, always use the data agent. That's not the way, but the data agent is highly useful for ad hoc stuff and exploratory use cases. Yeah. Then we are highly dependent on the data quality and also the semantic quality. And I mean, data quality, maybe everybody has something in mind, but semantic quality means that also the column names are able to be interpreted by the agent. So, for example, if you have column names, column 1, 2, 3, and so on, that doesn't work because the agent don't know, okay, what's happening in column 1. It's better if you have proper namings. For example, column 1 is customer short name, column 2 is customer address, and so on. With this information, the agent can work better and can then, use the data in a good way. Or for example, it's relevant that you, if you have, I mean, you know it, if we have a semantic model, for example, you set relationships between tables. Also, these relationships are highly interesting for the agent because then the agent knows, okay, if I want to query my table with the sales, for example, and the user said, okay, I should query only for a group of customers. How can I connect the customer table with the sales table, for example? So this is the semantic quality. And then, as I said, we see the biggest value in exploratory business teams who want to quickly test stuff. Because I think this is really, really an advantage that the business is not dependent on BI teams. Maybe BI teams have a lot of stuff to do, and maybe if you demand a new report, you need to wait for a week, for example. Sometimes this week is too long, and so business teams quickly self-check, self-query the data. And then if they say, okay, cool, we have found some data we want to report on a regular basis, then in a later stage, you can integrate a report, for example. And I brought a little real-life implementation, which is pretty interesting because, I mean, if we're talking about demos, and we will see it in a minute, a lot of demos are using some sales data because everybody knows it. It's kind of handy. But in this implementation, in this real-life implementation, we had another problem to solve. In this implementation, it was about product data. So information about product properties, about product characteristics, about compatibilities between different products. So I think it's pretty interesting because it's not the normal sales case. It's it's a more narrow case, so to say. And yeah, in the end, what's interesting is also the way of consuming the whole stuff. So I've prepared this little architecture overview. So on the left side, we have the data sources. And then we have this medallion pattern, which is kind of best practice regarding data storing in Microsoft Fabric. In the end, that's not that important. Most important to know is in the Goat layer, we have the final data product, which can then be, for example, used in a Power BI report, or could be used to be queried by a Fabric data agent. And I mean, there are different ways to later consume this Fabric data agent. You can go into Fabric. You can, I mean, Kai has shown it in a slide. You can go into the M365 Copilot, but a really interesting way, I think, is consuming via Teams, because everybody uses Teams. And maybe users who don't know Fabric, who are not aware of Fabric, who don't want to log into Fabric, do not have a barrier to use Teams, because everybody has Teams. And I mean, this leads to a low barrier for the end users. And they can directly chat in Teams with their data. And they do not even need to know how the data is flowing through Fabric or so on. So that's pretty cool. And this was the way of serving the data agent in this scenario. Yeah, pretty interesting, I think. Okay. Just one thing. If we want to consume it via Teams, we need to go through the Copilot Studio. This is just one remark, that there is at the moment no direct publishing from Fabric Data Agent to Teams, but you need to go through the Copilot Studio at the moment. Okay, so far so good. So I would say let's jump over to the demo. I will change the screen. Yeah, I have prepared a short demo, and we are using AdventureWorks data. AdventureWorks is also a demo of a fake company by Microsoft next to Contoso. And this demo is partly based on a tutorial, which you can easily build for yourself. So I mean, if you search for MS Fabric, Fabric Data Agent tutorial, then you will get to this page where you also get the data to test it by yourself. So what do we have here? We have a workspace called AdventureWorks Data Agent Demo. And before we jump into the data, or in the data agent, let's have a look at the data itself. And we have a lakehouse. This is just how the data is stored, or where the data is stored. And I mean, let's have a look in the DIM customer table. So you see we have a lot of tables, dimensional tables. So DIM is for dimension and fact is for fact. So it's already proper modeled based on star schema. So this is really a good point to set up a Fabric data agent on. And you can see, okay, we have regular customer information, last name, middle name, email address, and so on, and so on, and so on. We have, for example, a DIM date. I mean, it's a no-brainer. We have the date inside, and for example, we have the fact side where the actual data is stored. So the sales, and we have fact reseller sales, where we have all the keys from the dimensions. So just to have a rough overview. And now what we could do, I mean, that's just the regular way to consume the data. We can set up a report, and I've done it. And maybe you are aware of this Copilot in Power BI. And if we activate this this Copilot pane, we already can ask questions regarding the data. For example, I mean, how much revenue did we have per year in internet sales? So this works out of the box, and you can use it. And I think for a start, it's pretty fine because you do not need to configure anything and so on. And in a minute or in a second, there also should come back some data. But of course, you have some limitations. Maybe we can net sales revenue per year, and then you can, for example, show me the change from year to year in percent and so on. You can do stuff like this, and it works. But I want to say we have some downsides. So, for example, every time you want to use this feature, there need to be a report existing. Maybe sometimes you don't have a report, but you only have a data. Or if you want to give more instructions, which should be considered for the answer, that's also not possible in a good way. You can give instructions, but you need to put them in every time. I mean, you can see it's not bad, so do not get me wrong. But if we have a more enterprise approach, so to say, then the data agent is the better way. And let's jump over to the data agent. I already prepared it. And it's just another item existing here in Fabric. And we will quickly go through the setup steps, which I've already done. So first step is to add data. And in this case, we have added the Lakehouse AdventureWorks we have seen in a minute before. And we activated some tables, dim customer, dim date, dim geography, and so on. And fact internet sales and fact reseller sales. So these are the tables the data agent is using if you are sending a prompt to the data agent. Then next step is the setup. So, for example, if we are on level of the agent itself, you can provide agent instructions. So we wrote, okay, you are a sales agent answering questions regarding sales analysts, and so on and so on and so on. Why is this interesting? This could be interesting if you have a multi-agent scenario. Maybe if you have more than one Fabric agent connected in Copilot Studio, and you are then prompting Copilot's the new agent, the main agent in Copilot Studio, then it's easier for this agent to know, okay, what can the Fabric data agent do? What is his purpose? Then, if we go more in detail, we jump into the data source instructions. And for example, we can then give information as the following. So we have some general instructions. Okay, it's a Kimball star schema. It's a modeling approach with this fact and dimensions. And we have a list of the tables. And in the list, we described, okay, a dim customer, for example, has detailed customer demographics and contact information, while, for example, the fact reseller sales contains posted invoices about sales via reseller. So here you can give context and information to the data agent, which is applied, so to say, globally if you use the data agent, and you do not need to prompt it every time you are asking the data agent. And then we have some example queries. Could be interesting if you have more advanced situations where you want to give some example SQL statements which then can be applied or partly applied if we have kind of more special question against the data agent. And this is what you can do. Important to say, if you deploy a Fabric data agent and get the data in, you from this point you already can ask questions. It's not necessary to do all the setup stuff. You can do it to improve the degree of quality of the answers, but it's not necessary. Really important. Yeah, I mean, then let's start asking the agent some questions. I prepared some prompts. So for example, show me sales for reseller and internet per year. And what's happening now, he's interpreting it and parsing it. He just, for himself, he changed it to show the yearly sales totals for both reseller and internet channels. And then we can see, sorry, there is a SQL statement which was created in the background. And this SQL statement was queried against the data source. And then we get the data back, see, okay, we have sales from in these years, and it's split up between reseller and internet sales with these values. So fine, so good. Now it could be that from the board we have a question, for example, identify sales decreases for reseller sales and internet sales over the years. And maybe the question is, can these sales decreases be traced to specific countries? This could be the case. And now we are confronted with this. And we check, okay, yeah, let's dive into it. We can add the product category. And we need to explore it a little bit. And give him a second. Where's the answer? There we are. Okay. Also, so far, so good. Now we added the product category. And but now it could be interesting to have a percentual change from year to year. So let's add this. Okay, now it's getting more interesting. Now we see, okay, how the sales changed from year to year, and so on. And maybe we say, okay, yeah, that's fine, but we want to see it on the country level, but not on the product category level. So we change from product category to country, and then we can go from there more in detail. So you see, it's kind of exploring where this works pretty good. I think it also works pretty good if you do not know the data in detail to explore. Let's hope for the demo god. If he is with us, yeah, there we are. Okay, I will shorten it a little bit to show you also the publishing to the M365 Copilot in a second. But what now we could do, okay, we see, for example, we have Australia, and we see we have internet sales, and from 2011 to 1 year later, we have a decrease of 17%. Now we could, for example, ask for the driver of the drop. What's happening there? Or what happened there? He rephrased it. Then let's check. He gives us, so we see, okay, the primary driver of the decline in internet sales in Australia was a significant drop in component sales, while bikes sales increased. This growth was not enough to offset the losses and so on. So as you can see, based on the data which is given, you can also go into more detail. And I think this is a little bit more complex than only asking, okay, how changed the revenue? It's getting more deep into the data itself. And yeah, as you can see, he proposes if you should dive deeper into it, and then you can yeah, go through. I mean, if you test the tutorial, then you can yeah, go even more in detail. But one thing which is really important for me, I want to show, is the publishing. Because if you then say, okay, the agent works, the instructions are fine, I want to make it available for other persons, then you can publish this agent to the M365 Copilot. And I also have prepared this. I will switch to the M365 Copilot. Here we are. And then what happens then is we have a new agent on the left-hand side. So as you can see, it's the same name. We have seen a second before. And now we can ask questions here. And what's happening there is that the large language model of the M365 Copilot uses the MCP server of the Fabric data agent. And then we should get response in a second. And I think this way of working with the data agent is pretty cool because I mean, a lot of companies have activated M365 Copilot, and I think a lot of people are working with this. And having this agent here, it's so good integrated that nobody needs to jump into Fabric itself, only maybe for debugging reasons or for developing reasons, but not for consuming. And yeah, it takes a little second because, of course, it's one loop more. So this large language model from the M365 Copilot interprets the question and then hands over the question. And now he's doing stuff. He's not finished yet. And then we get a table with the overview. And one thing which is pretty cool, and that's the last point of the demo, you can also, he's very, very motivated. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you very much. You can visualize. You can directly visualize in the M365 Copilot, and you get some charts back, which could also be pretty interesting for exploring data. Let's wait for this, and then we got through the demo. Okay. I mean, of course, probably everybody thinks the same. That's not as beautiful as a Power BI report can be, sure, but for exploratory reasons, I think it's not bad to have a look into the data to get a feeling, and then, of course, in a later stage, you can build the report. Yeah, that was the demo. I will quickly jump back to the presentation itself. Demo, we talked about the integration options with Power BI Copilot, with the M365 Copilot, and with the MCP server. One thing to mention, as I said, you can also integrate this agent in other custom agents or integrate it into multi-agent patterns, which is pretty cool. So it do not only lives in Fabric, but it can be used from different tools, as you can see. So in a summary, to be in time, yeah, Fabric data agents make your data accessible via chat, as you have seen. You do not need to know SQL. You do not need Python. You just ask the question in regular natural language. The quality highly depends, of course, on the input. And data security rules will be applied. Really interesting and really important. And yeah, we think for ad hoc questions or for exploratory use cases, it's a pretty good way. And yeah, I think in a nutshell, not in every case a report is necessary anymore. So you can substitute really good and even better sometimes with this data agent. And I think it's worth a try. Yeah. So
Thank you, Tim.
Far from my side. Handing over to
Thank
you
you
guys.
so much. And thanks everyone for joining. We're right on time. I was impressed by the very easy demonstration done by Tim. And just as Tim mentioned, it's great for fast ideation. So if you have some ideas, you jump in and you verify with some data and you get some report right away. And if it doesn't work, you move on until you reach the end, until you reach your goal. So with that, I'd like to conclude this session. Thank you, Tim, again, and thank you so much for joining, everybody. Again, wish you a nice day.